Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the Midday News on 3FM 92.7. My name is Beatrice Adu. The news is also live on Kesmi 107.1 FM and across the world at 3news.com. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Another building collapses in the central region, trapping and killing an old woman. Will bring you an update. Also coming up, Office of Special Prosecutor announces arrest of several individuals, including 2 former commissioners of the GRA over the controversial SML contract, which has now become a subject of criminal investigations. And much later, Public Utilities Regulatory Commission, PURC, announces a 2.5% increment in electricity tariff. Meanwhile, the tariff for water has been maintained. We have more from the latest quarterly tariff review. Thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. Now, the Office of the Special Prosecutor has arrested Reverend Dr. Amisha Dai Owusu-Amoah, Kofi Inti, both formerly with commissioners of the Ghana Revenue Authority, Isaac Crensel, ex-commissioner of Customs and now general manager at SML, and Christian Tetesoti, former technical advisor and now MD of SML. The arrests are linked to ongoing investigations into suspected corruption and corruption-related offences in respect of contract between the GRA and SML for revenue assurance services. The probe also seeks to verify SML's claims that its services have been saving the nation significant revenues. Owusu-Amoah, Crensel and Soti were detained last night after failing to meet bail conditions. The underlisted are currently on bail. Evans Eduse, CEO of SML, Philip Mensah, former Deputy Commissioner of Legal GRA and now legal consultant to SML, Joseph Kuruk and Faustina Ajoko, both staff of the PPA, and Kofi Inti, former Commissioner General. Let's speak to Anti-Graft Crusader Vitus Azim for his quick reaction to this. Good afternoon to you, sir. Thank you very much for joining us.
You're welcome.
Let me first get your thoughts on what you make of these arrests and the posturing of the Special Prosecutor so far.
Well, I think that these arrests were expected because the Auditor General, the Attorney General had come out in an earlier press conference to tell Ghanaians about some of the allegations that involve these people, and so we have been expecting something like that to happen. It's not surprising.
Not surprising to you, but some have criticized the Special Prosecutor following a raid at the SML. Are these criticisms founded?
Well, you see, there are laid out procedures for raiding people's homes and offices. If the Office of Special Prosecutor went through those processes, if they went there with an arrest warrant or a search warrant, I think there should be nothing wrong with what they did. They are looking for some information that will not deliberately be given to them. They need to confirm or establish some of the allegations that are made against these people. And it's possible that some of the information that they would get from them by force would have been withheld from them. So I think they need to the information to help them in their investigations and to build a docket for prosecution.
Having made that point, there are some who also still have issues with the fact that, yes, the Special Prosecutor has been going about his business announcing, cases that he's looking into, and yet there has not been any major prosecution. Is that something that concerns you as well?
Well, I think it's something that concerns me, but you also have to understand that it takes quite some time to carry out these investigations and, as I said, to build a good docket to be able to put up a case in court. There's no point rushing with information that is not complete or evidence that is not complete to the courts only to lose the cases. So I hope and I believe that the Special Prosecutor is probably taking his time to get these things properly done. But let's also remember that the Office of Special Prosecutor is not the only institution involved in these investigations and possible prosecutions. Sometimes some people will be holding information from the Office of Special Prosecutor. And then when it gets to court, lawyers will come in and there will be various ways of dilly-dallying the cases. Then the judges too will decide how to go about the cases. And so, yes, Ghanaians are eager, we're expectant because of what we've gone through, which we believe was part of these acts. And so people are expecting that these things are fast, monies are recovered, and people are jailed. And so when they don't see that, it worries them. But I think that the special prosecutor also needs to take time and go through this. And the office is not looking at just one case. They're handling a number of cases. And so definitely there will be conflicts of time.
Having made that, and then
okay,
please,
they have to divide their time such that they're able to look at all these cases because people have various interests in these cases.
Indeed.
So if you see that, so if the special prosecutor just going after one case, then people will be asking, what are you doing about the other cases? So you have to look at them simultaneously.
Having made that point, do you have confidence in the office to deliver on its mandate as expected of it?
Well, as I've said, confidence in the special prosecutor to have successful investigations and prosecutions will not just rely on the Office of Special Prosecutor alone. There are other state institutions that can provide information. And then, as I said, when it gets to court, even though the office will be expected to pick a good case, they are not the final determining body.
I get that. So the question I was asking was if you believed that the special prosecutor on his part will do what is expected of it. You have that confidence?
Yes, I believe that the office will have that capacity to do what is expected of it.
Thank you very much, Mr. Azim, for speaking to us.
You're welcome.
And he had Beatrice Adu. He's an anti-corruption crusader. Now, the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission, PRC, has announced a 2.45% increment in electricity tariffs across all customer categories, effective the 1st of July 2025, as part of its quarterly review mechanism. The tariff adjustment, which applies to residential, non-residential and special load tariff SLT customers, is based on a detailed analysis of macroeconomic and operational factors, including inflation, exchange rate fluctuations, and rising fuel costs. According to a statement issued by the Commission, the upward review is necessary to sustain utility service providers and ensure a reliable electricity supply. The adjustment takes into account a projected average inflation rate of 20.67% as a Ghana cedi to US dollar exchange rate of 10.3052 Ghana cedis, and an increase in the weighted average cost of gas to 7.71 MMBTU. Now, the third quarter's generation mix remains unchanged, with 28.8% from hydro sources and 71.2% from thermal sources. The Commission also factored in 488 million Ghana cedis in outstanding revenues from previous quarters, as well as the cost implications of maintaining reserve capacity to ensure grid stability. Let me bring you the summary of key adjustments. For Lifeline customers, the tariff increases will be from 77.63 kWh to 79.53, and the rest of these figures are found on streetnews.com. Well, the Commission also underscored that these quarterly reviews are not arbitrary, but are a necessary measure to maintain the real value of tariffs in the face of economic pressures and to uphold the financial health of utility service providers. Consumers have also been urged to note the new tariffs and plan accordingly as the adjustment takes effect next month. Meanwhile, the PRC has also confirmed that water tariffs will remain unchanged for the third quarter of 2025. Let's speak to Derek Archer. He's a senior research analyst with the Institute for Energy Security. Good afternoon to you, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Good afternoon, my sister.
In the view of the general economic conditions, I mean, exchange rate, inflation, etc., would you say that this tariff adjustment is justified?
Pardon?
I was asking whether you think that this current tariff adjustment, over 2%, starting from next month, is justified in the midst of the current economic situation.
All right. Good afternoon. Thanks for the opportunity. So let me just say that this probably is the first time that we are having a cost-reflective tariff. If you look at the components of the thing that have been itemized, we're talking about the exchange rates, which the city has been appreciating for the past period. So that is a good factor. They spoke about inflation that has been a bit stable over the past. We've seen some drops in it or reduction, but they projected some 20% plus. If you look at the weighted average cost of gas, you see that the increment is very minimal or very insignificant. The generation mix still remains the same, and then they now spoke or brought into the variables an outstanding revenue. And that is a cause for worry for us because why should we be having under recoveries over the past review tariffs? And so if these things have been factored into it, especially the liquid cost of fuel, which has never been factored into the generation mix or into the tariff mix, then it means that this time around we are going to have a cost-reflective tariff that will help ensure a sustainable power sector. And so looking at the macroeconomic indicators, ordinarily, everybody would have been expecting some reduction of tariffs at the various at this current tariff review. But what we are seeing now is an adjustment. If this adjustment is linked, which will help ensure a full cost recovery, then I think that this time around we are going to have a full cost recovery tariff that is very significant for the sector.
A full cost recovery tariff, you say, but how do you anticipate this impacting low-income households and businesses already struggling with high operational costs?
Exactly so, because there is a time when you see tariffs, it's add up to the cost of production, and so it will definitely be a drain on people's incomes. It will affect businesses. It will affect industrial production, among other things. But look at it from this angle. If this had not happened at the time that the macroeconomic indicators are pointing to the right direction, then probably could have been talking about a tariff adjustment that would have been far more than this. And so for us to have a cost-reflective tariff at this time, where things seem to be in the right direction, and then we are talking about resetting the power sector. Secondly, we are talking about another thing that we don't have to pile up the debt. And so what has been happening over the past years is that anytime that there's under recovery, the government bears that debt, and that becomes a debt on the books of Ghana, or that becomes a debt that now we are trying to eliminate. And so if this time around the PURC is saying that this is a cost-reflective tariff, that will help us to eliminate those legacy debts, that will help us to ensure full cost recovery, then it means that going forward, we will know that we are paying the right tariffs, and we will not expect anybody tomorrow to come and tell us that there has been a pile-up of debts or we've not been paying cost-reflective tariffs. No. So this time around, hoping that there isn't any political interferences, whilst business continue to pay the right tariff that is reflective, then we know that there will be that sustainability in the power sector.
Mr. Hache, you would also agree with the fact that we need to reduce our cost of production. Currently, we are relying on thermal, which is over 70% of our production need, and that demands a lot of fuel as well, with the volatility in fuel prices because of what's going on globally. What do you know, as being some of the measures being implemented to diversify our power generation to reduce the cost?
All right. So I spoke basically because of the cost reflective, because of one component that was added. That component that was added was for the alternative fuel. Now you see that most of the thermal plants run on either natural gas or the light crude. Now the natural gas is the preferable one because it's very cost reflective, very, very low as compared to the light crude. Now you cannot always just depend on the natural gas. And so they brought in one component that is alternative fuel that can take up the light crude and other thing. That is just some 27%, which has never been accounted for in the price build-up for the tariffs. Now, looking at the generation mix, you see that the hydro is 28, the thermal is around 71.2. Those out of far-reach areas in the hinterlands, in the low-level communities, if you're able to accelerate our renewable energy production, then it means that it will help them. And so in ensuring a proper energy mix, let us not just rely on the thermal. It's the thermal that is always driving this cost, because if you look at the hydro, it is very predictable and then not very not very expensive as compared to the thermal component. And so when we bring in the renewable, it means that Ghanaians will continue to enjoy lesser cost as compared to relying over-relying on the thermal, which is about 70% of the generation mix.
Ms. Archer, my final question to you. You would also agree that a number of people say that, yes, you may increase the tariff, but why aren't you collecting your debt as well? How do you expect the utility providers to go about this, especially when we already have 488 million Ghana cedi in revenues yet to be collected?
All right, so a good question. As I stated, one of the components is outstanding revenue. And so for the next review, which will happen for the last quarter of the year, I don't expect to see an outstanding revenue as part of the component that will account for a tariff review. Now, going forward, we've now seen that for this past month, we've seen the National Task Force of ECG going around businesses, houses, and then they've now uncovered a lot of meters that have been bypassing the system. When these things are regulated, then it means that their revenue collection rate will increase, whilst ECG and then the other power sector players put in place efficient measures to be able to reduce their distribution losses. And so when these measures are done very well, then it means that our monthly receivers or revenue collection for ECG will increase. When that increases, then it means that they'll be able to comply with the cash waterfall mechanism, and PURC will always be satisfied because the independent power producers will not come for under recoveries, and then that becomes a debt on or maybe a hang on the government budget.
Thank you very much, Mr. Harcher, for speaking to us. And you had there Derek Harcher. He's senior research analyst with the Institute for Energy Security. A second-story building has collapsed in Cape Coast, killing one person just 5 days after a similar incident claimed 2 lives. The collapse occurred around 2 a.m. while residents were asleep. According to the mayor of Cape Coast, victims were trapped, requiring the intervention of community members and security agencies, including the Ghana National Fire Service, NADMO, and the police to rescue them. The injured were rushed to the hospital. Now, among the victims, a 74-year-old woman was pronounced dead shortly after arrival at the hospital, while a young man remains hospitalized and is receiving treatment. Meanwhile, the mayor of Cape Coast, George Justice Arthur, is stating that immediate plans are underway to provide the victims with necessary assistance, including relief items and temporary shelter. Thomas Khan is our Central Regional Correspondent. He's been following the story. He joins us live on the line. Thomas, what else can you tell us about this incident? Thomas Khan, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
What more can you tell us about the incident? I'm sorry, we'll have to get back to Thomas Khan. You're still here on the Midday News on 3FM 92.7. Some 19 minutes past the hour of 12. This is still the Midday News here on 3FM 92.7. Hopefully Thomas Khan, our Central Regional Correspondent, can hear us now. Thomas, I was asking you to tell us more about this latest building collapse that has claimed the life of the 74-year-old woman.
So we understand this incident happened this dawn around 2 a.m. when all the occupants of this building had gone to sleep. We are told that this 74-year-old woman who had died was one of the 2 people the rescue team, which was made up of committee members and some security agents like the NADMO and the Ghana National Fire Service, tried to rescue. They were able to rescue the 2 of them, that is the 74-year-old lady and her grandson, who at the moment we are told is 18, and drive them to the Cape Coast. And after a while, we were told that unfortunately the old lady passed, and currently we have the 18-year-old, that's the grandson of the same old lady who is receiving treatment at the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital. Currently, I'm here at the scene, and what is happening is that occupants and then houses that are adjoining to this collapsed building, they are just packing their stuff, all their belongings, out of the building, because now the assembly CCMA has been here and has warned them that the building is in a very dangerous state, so they have to move out for it to be demolished as soon as possible. So as a result, this incident has sparked some kind of fear amongst residents here, and we are told that a dozen of the houses here will be going down very soon. And we've had some officials, including the Omanhin of the Ogua traditional area, Osabai Makwesata, who has been to the scene to also get some first-hand information about the incident. And he has been commenting and saying that there's more to do with engaging the people to let them know the danger in staying in such buildings because of what has happened. Already, 3 lives have gone, and it is time for occupants to understand so that they move them out for demolition. However, he said the Traditional Council and the Assembly and all the agencies that matter have been engaging so that they will know how to help the victims who have been affected.
Thank you very much, Thomas Khan. He's our Central Regional Correspondent. Now, the Tertiary Workers Union of Ghana, TUGH, has issued a 7-day ultimatum to the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission, GTEC, demanding an immediate reversal of its directive mandating traditional public universities to swear in representatives of the Teachers and Educational Workers Union, TUC, on their governing councils. GTEC, in a letter dated the 18th of June, instructed public universities to recognize and swear in representatives from TUC as the sole workers' union on governing councils, effectively barring TUGH members from serving, even where they have already been sworn in. Let's now speak to the National Chairman of TEU Ghana, Suleimana Abdulrahman. Good afternoon to you, sir. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good afternoon, and thanks a lot for having me.
Any positive feedback since you issued this threat some 24 hours ago?
Well, we are at the Minister of Education to have a meeting with the Honorable Minister of Education, and also we have a scheduled meeting at the Labor Ministry. So we are hoping that at the end of the day, we should be able to get these issues resolved. But as we speak, we are yet to meet, so I cannot say much about what they will be telling us or the decision that will be taken in the meeting.
But let's go to the genesis of the matter. Why do you think TUGH people have been excluded from the council?
Yeah, so we think that this issue actually emanated, from TUC, that is Teachers and Educational Workers Union of Ghana, who has their majority members in the Ghana Education Service. And we are Tertiary Education Workers Union. We are only, operating in the tertiary space. So at what point will a pre-tertiary will be controlling the tertiary institutions as far as our union is concerned? And let me also state that if this pre-tertiary union was to even have the majority membership in our campuses, that wouldn't be a problem. But I can tell you that about 9 public universities, this pre-tertiary union, that's TUTC, doesn't have even a single member. But the directives from the GTEC sought to suggest that even where they don't have a single member, they should go and look for someone to go and sit in the council. Meanwhile, the council representation is about the members' voice. It is a constituency representation. When the members are, having issues, that's why you carry their welfare issues to the governing council to negotiate on the highest level, speak on behalf of the members. So if GTAC is telling us that even where they don't have a single member, they should go and look for someone to go and sit in the council, we think that, something fundamental wrong, something fundamental wrong is happening somewhere, because this has never happened. We have never witnessed this by us. So we are calling on government, especially the president and the chief of staff, and the honorable minister of education, to make sure that they put their feet down to avert all this, issues that is coming up. But at the end of the day, if there is no a single member, example at UNE or UHAS, and you are asking the union to go and pick someone and put there, the members will never agree to this, and the leadership will never agree to this.
Having made that point, you gave the government or the institution a 7-day ultimatum. What happens if at the end of the 7 days nothing has happened?
We believe that the government is a listening government. We believe that at the end of the day, the issues will be resolved before the 7th day. But of course, if the 7-day ultimatum reaches without any resolution to this issue, we will report back to our members. And any decision that the members take, we will carry it as messengers of the union. And exactly what will happen.
We'll have to end it here with you. Thank you very much for speaking to us. And you had there Suleiman Abdul Rahman. He's the national chairman of Tewu Ghana. Thank you for speaking to us. Now, the Parliamentary Select Committee on Defence and Interior has called on the prison service to get acquainted with the challenges bedeviling the service. Although the president has assured of massive transformation of the prisons, chairman of the committee, James Agaga, emphasized that the prisons cannot be transformed when personnel are disadvantaged one way or the other, so the urgent need to address the demands. Now, King Mswati III of Eswatini continues his 5-day state visit to Ghana with a high-profile engagement in Kumasi today. The monarch is set to address the National House of Chiefs and later hold a crucial meeting with the Asantehene Otumfuo Tutu II. The king's visit underscores the strengthening ties between Eswatini and Ghana. Now, with Kumasi's rich history as a backdrop, could this visit pave the way for deeper collaborations? And we'll bring you more in our subsequent bulletins. Log on to ShriNews.com for more news. My name is Beatrice Adu. Good afternoon.
FM. 3 FM.
Accra gets busy on this frequency. 92.7 3 FM.
Greetings in the name of His Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie I.
It has always been a journey of Pan-Africanism and consciousness. It is your regular taxi driver with the urban blend and